The issue of affordability helped spur Donald Trump to victory last year, but also helped Democrats win big in off-year elections 1 month ago. The latest edition of NBC News Deciders Focus Group, produced by Syracuse University and the research firms Engagious and Sago. We heard from Trump voters who cast ballots for Democrats Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger in last month's New Jersey and Virginia gubernatorial elections. Nearly all of them say they are unhappy with how the White House is handling concerns about rising prices. And most say they're not satisfied with the president's second term so far. Listen.
So I'd like to know whether, on balance, looking at the entirety of the president's second term so far, you approve or disapprove of what this administration has done since it took over in January. By a show of fingers, who approves? Got Ashley? Just one of you. And who disapproves? By a show of fingers, who's seen significant increases in prices this year for things you buy regularly?
Joining me now is Director of Syracuse University's Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship Institute, Margaret Talev. Margaret, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be back.
So let's talk about these voters. These are Trump voters. They do not approve of how this administration is handling inflation and affordability. Do any of them, though, Margaret, regret their votes?
You're asking a really important question. You're right. We had 14 voters in these two focus group panels. All 14 voted for Donald Trump last year for president. 10 out of 14 say they don't approve of the job he's doing. But do they want a do-over? And if they got a do-over with the two choices they had last time? No. I mean, and we've seen this consistently, and this is one of the challenges that Democrats face. And their question is, was the problem Kamala Harris or is the problem the Democratic Party? They'll find out in 2028. But these results this week were very, very interesting. A lot of frustration with the economy. But when you get into the nitty-gritty about it, again, this group of 14 was really divided. Many of them are blaming President Biden for Donald Trump's economy still a year after the election. And you've got 5 saying they actually feel better about the economy now, 6 saying they feel worse, 3 saying it's unchanged. So they're not loving the Trump presidency, but they're not sure what the alternative would have been. And they're all over the map about whether to hold Trump accountable for inflation or whether it's not really his fault. It's other stuff. He's got other stuff to do. The president can't control the economy. So it's really a mixed bag.
Well, it's just fascinating. And you take me to my next question, because these voters were asked about how President Trump is doing fighting inflation and affordability. Has he made it enough of a priority? Let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
By a show of fingers, who thinks President Trump has made fighting inflation a top priority in his first 10 months in office? None of you do.
I think he's delusional. Just he said the other month that grocery prices haven't gone up. Shows he's out of touch and delusional, not listening to the facts.
Well, I would say there's so many other problems that have just taken a priority over that. Part of Trump's problem is he lacks focus, and I just don't think he can solve everything at once. And so while I think it's an important issue, I don't hold it against him, the fact that that hasn't been a top priority.
Basically, just because of the average person in America, I don't think that they're being catered to. I think it's a big difference now with middle class and higher class. And I know one of the biggest things that has an effect to people that I know is healthcare. Especially with Medicaid as well, with there being cuts to Medicaid.
I feel like I expected certain things to be improved or certain things to become more affordable, and it did the exact opposite.
So, Margaret, President Trump called affordability a Democratic hoax.
Yeah.
Earlier this week. How is that playing with these voters and the concerns overall about the economy?
Affordability is a real problem for everyone in these two panels, and you can see it. And look, none of this is good news for President Trump, but President Trump is not running for re-election. And so the question is it good news for Democrats that they feel this way about President Trump? What's interesting about these voters that we're watching here together now, these were two panels conducted earlier this week of voters who voted for Donald Trump last November, but then for a Democratic governor in those off-year elections just a few weeks ago. So one panel, Virginia voters, Trump to Spanberger. The other panel, New Jersey voters, Trump to Sherrill, two female Democratic gubernatorial candidates. And so we were trying to find out, like, why the switch, and the reasons were fascinating.
Well, and affordability, certainly one of those central reasons. And what's notable, though, we asked these voters about their views of the Democratic Party, which weren't exactly positive. Let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
What are the key characteristics or traits that best describe today's Democratic Party?
Elite, dishonest, scolding.
Pearl clutching.
Promises, no delivery.
Out of touch.
Dishonest.
Weak, unfocused, and grasping to the left.
Ineffective and old.
Kind of a lack of leadership.
Inconsiderate.
Out of touch.
I would say inconsiderate too.
It's kind of wishy-washy, like meh, like lackadaisical.
Ouch.
You can watch them for hours, couldn't you?
You could watch this for hours. What should Democrats, if you're watching this right now, what do you think they should take from these voters? I mean, that's very blunt.
Right.
Very blunt assessment.
Okay, these are not all voters. These are a particular kind of voters, swing voters, so it's a particular type of voter who's going to go back and forth anyway. But you might watch this and say, why did they vote for these Democratic governors then? Yeah. It must have been a referendum against Donald Trump. No, most of them said that responding to Trump was not what was driving their vote. And so what they liked about Spanberger and Sherrill, overwhelmingly, they told us, was that they basically trusted him. They seemed like kind of moderate and like they had skills, and that they liked them better than the character of their Republican rivals. So candidate quality matters. That sort of charisma / trust matters. And these voters in particular, they don't like extremism. We heard them again and again say they like some of Trump's ideas, but not the way he's executing them. It's too over the top for them. The immigration and the stuff with the boats, like, that's not what they want. They just want competence. And with Sherrill and Spanberger, this particular group of voters sees that. So for Democrats, at least if you're trying to appeal to swing voters, the message is someone who can kind of not be stuck on the fringes of the party and be leaning into the sort of common sense of affordability or nonpartisan, bipartisan issues is appealing to these particular voters.
Both Spanberger and Sherrill moderates, and that was what they leaned into. Margaret Talev, thank you so much for being here. Really fascinating.
Thanks.
Come back soon with more. We appreciate it.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.